Hello, in this video we are going to see gross domestic product or GDP intuitively. If you already know this subject, you can speed up this video or you can jump directly to the next video. So let's start. GDP, one possible definition, is the monetary value, pesos if we are in Argentina, dollars if we are in America, of all of the goods and services produced within a country's borders in a specific time period, let's say 2013. In any country we have firms and we have families that provide resources to the firms, mainly labor and capital. The firms use capital and labor. If we are in America, they pay with dollars. So the resources travel in this direction, whereas the money flows in the opposite direction. This flow is called the resource market. Capital and labor produce goods and services that the firms sell and the family buy. So this apple travels in that direction, not only apples but also all of the goods and services produced in the country. This flow is called product market, and the money that the family pays for these goods and services travels in that direction. We are mainly interested in the flow of money that circulate clockwise in this picture. So one first definition of GDP is the sum of the monetary value of these goods and services. So we multiply quantities, time, prices, and then we get the GDP. Because we are in the product market, this method of measuring the GDP is called production. Now in this model, this money circulates passing through the firms and end up in the pocket of somebody. So we call it income, and we are going to denote it with the letter Y. And in this model, this income is exactly the same as production, so we're going to denote it with the same letter Y. Finally, we have to consider only the finished goods and services that I deliberately disconsidered at the beginning. I am not going to explain this concept in this video. You can see in other videos, or you can see it in this literature that is mainly the book that I will try to follow in the future videos. Next, we are going to see the role of the inventory. What role the inventory plays in this story. So how we measure this variable Y or GDP? Let's consider a firm that represents all of the firms in the country, starts the year 2013 with an inventory of 2 boxes of goods and services that were produced in the previous year, in 2012. So this is the initial inventory for 2013. So let's assume that the families demand one of these boxes. We are going to call D1 this demand. So the firm is going to sell one box and the family are going to buy one box. So this box travel from here to here, and the family pay for it, and we are going to call expenditure 1 this payment. And in order to keep the initial level of inventory, the firms produce one additional box of goods and services, and we are going to denote Y1 the production of this box. Finally, the $100 that the family pay end up in the pocket of somebody, and it has exactly the same value as Y1, so we're going to call it Y1. So now let's assume that we have a second demand. We buy an additional box, we pay for it, and so we pay with this $100, and we register this payment with expenditure 2. Now the firm produces another box, and we register the production, and then this $100 travel and end up in the pocket of somebody, and we register it too. Now we have a third demand. We get the product, we pay for it, we produce it, and it end up in the pocket of somebody. And finally, we have, let's say, end demand. So we got the end product, so we pay, we produce, and $100 end up in the pocket of somebody. So today is 31st of December of 2013. Happy New Year. The 2013 is gone. So what is Y? Y is the sum of all of these values. So Y, as we said before, is production, or the word output, which is exactly the same as production, or GDP, which is exactly the sum of these values. So we have GDP equal to production equal to output equal to income, or equal to Y. So we are going to use any of these terms as synonymous. Unplanned aggregate expenditure is the sum of this value that we are going to denote with AE. That in this example and in this model is exactly the same as the sum of this value that is called demand for goods and services, that we denote with the letter Z, which is not the same as aggregate demand, as we will see later. So in this model, aggregate expenditure is equal to demand for goods. Some authors use aggregate expenditure, and some authors use demand for goods. I will start using this one because I will use this picture a lot, but at the end I'm going to use demand for goods. Now, are these two things the same? Well, if what it was produced is equal to what was sold, like in this example, so in this case this is what it was produced, and this is what was sold. So in this example, what it was produced, which is Y, the sum of these values, are exactly the same as the sum of this value, which is aggregate expenditure. Then Y is equal to aggregate expenditure, then we can see that in this case the final inventory, which is 2 boxes, is exactly the same as the initial inventory, which was also 2 boxes, the initial inventory that we produced previous year. So we ended up with 2 boxes and we started with 2 boxes. If this is the case, we say that the goods and services market is in equilibrium. In the next video, we are going to see in which cases Y can be different from AE. Income can be different from aggregate expenditure. So see you in the next video.